So Startup 500 is an incubator based in Silicon Valley, founded by one of the founders of PayPal, right? Yeah. Dave McClure. Early employee, marketing. And it came with the vision to invest in about 500 startups in Silicon Valley, make small investments. But it's great to see that Dave decided to go global and to invest in the MENA region with several trips to the MENA, several efforts to connect with the MENA entrepreneurs. And now they have operations set up in Bahrain with several investments. And Hassan, given his experience in the angel network of the Arab world, he started the first international angel network. And he founded Tenmu, right? That was actually a use case or case study for the World Bank to learn how to support startups, the startup ecosystem in the Arab world. And today, given his responsibilities, Hassan accepted our invitation to join us in this African summit. It doesn't exclude, let me just ask you this. If there is a great idea from a Senegali entrepreneur, you're going to take it.
We'll invest in startups from anywhere in the world.
Fantastic. See? All our friends in Africa, you're welcome, and the checks can be written to you as well. Okay, why don't you tell me a little bit about where the Startup 500 efforts are today in the MENA region?
So thank you so much for the amazing introduction. It's amazing to be here in Casablanca. This is my first time to Morocco. It's the furthest west I've been in the Arab world, so this has been a great experience for me.
You can't get that. Further than that is Michigan.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So 500 Startups actually really believes in the MENA region and the Arab-speaking world. It's part of our key sort of geographies that we're looking at, and we think that it's an overlooked market that will not be overlooked over the next 2 years or so. We're at an inflection point, so we think that the best investors will be investing here in our region going forward. So really, we believe in this region and we want to invest here, and we have been investing here, and we've been putting our money where our mouth is. So I head up the MENA region. We've invested in 30 startups across the Middle East and North Africa so far. We're looking to invest in another 30 to 50 startups every single year for the next 3 years. So we want to be active. We believe in you guys. You should believe in yourselves as well. So that's what
I think Hassan hasn't told me that, but I think within a couple of years, Startup 500 will be the most active investor here in Morocco.
Yeah,
you will tell me that later, right?
I hope so. Yeah, we hope to see some really good entrepreneurs here in Morocco that we can look at investing and either taking you to the accelerator program that we run in Silicon Valley or just investing alongside you here. We don't need you to go to Silicon Valley. You don't have to go to Silicon Valley.
Okay, actually, let me build on this.
Yeah.
There has been some really great stories that were accepted to the batches. So the way Startup 500 works, they have what we call a batch. So they select startups from different places, depending on the region, and the selected startups get into an acceleration program. Is it a 3 months, 6 weeks?
It's a 4-month program.
4-month program where they help you validate. Well, actually, they don't validate anymore. They help you ramp up after you build traction on your own. So actually, it's good to know that the threshold, having an idea or having a prototype is not enough. So you have to build your own traction before going to investors. So they have those batches, and every 4 months they have a batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, and they're at batch 15 or 16 now?
We're at batch 16 now,
okay.
Yes.
So in those batches, there have been some great Arab entrepreneurs who joined. Do you mind speaking about 2 or 3 and where they are?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've had quite a few companies. Probably I'd talk about a North African one that's done very well. There's a startup from Egypt, from Cairo, called Wazaf, which is an online sort of recruitment platform. And they've done very well. They're one of the first They just recently raised the largest Series A round in the history of Egyptian startups. And it was not from local investors. It was actually from European VCs that were investing into Egypt.
How large was it?
$1.8 million.
Seed round.
Yeah, it's Series A.
Series A.
So they've done pretty well.
You were involved.
We invested in them very early on. We took them through our accelerator program in Silicon Valley that helped them grow and figure out what they needed to do in order to maximize their KPIs. Okay. And then they were profitable. And then these guys from Europe were interested in coming in and investing in them.
Hassan, when you got started, what are the main challenges you faced in identifying your first deals?
So I like to invest in people. And so that's a bias that I have because the angel group that I was running, we were actually just investing in ideas. So we were investing, there was nothing there, just the people and the concept. And so I like to invest in teams that are motivated, that show that they're passionate about what they're trying to do. So I have that bias. But joining 500, I had to shift upstream a little bit. And so 500 Startups really only invests once you've got some signs of traction. So we don't invest before you have a product. We don't invest before you have product market fit. We invest after you've got a couple of customers and maybe 3 to 6 months of some sort of numbers and KPIs. And so shifting towards that sort of more metrics-based investment than a people-based investment has been an interesting shift over the last year and a half that I've been working with 500.
So, and how do you qualify people? How can you define, or what's your judgment about those Arab entrepreneurs you met? Is there like a common profile? Is there common thread, common weakness, common strength?
I don't think there's a common thread across the Arab world. I think it's really each market is very different and each entrepreneur is very different. What's been interesting is seeing amazingly talented entrepreneurs that have been executing really well in areas like Cairo, but are completely ignored by investors because they don't know how to pitch or talk about their companies. So that's one weakness that actually is there in quite a lot of startups in the region, is that you don't know how to talk about what you're doing. And I like to hear a story, but the story is not the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me is like, what have you actually achieved? Not what do you want to achieve, what have you actually achieved? Yes, so I'll pitch a startup to you guys. Let me give you an example. Hi, I've got a startup. It's generating $50,000 a month in revenues. We've been growing 50% month over month for the last 3 months. We are almost profitable, and we're raising money from a bunch of other investors that are very well known, like Sequoia and other people. You don't have any idea what I do, right? But you're interested because I've just told you that I'm doing well. And so that really should be your pitch. It's not, we found this problem and there's a solution and then we've been working on it for 2 years and, we think we figured it out and all. No, that's not as important to catch my attention. It's, we've got revenues, we've been growing, I don't need you, you need me. And so that's something, like figuring out that pitch is something that entrepreneurs here need to work on.
I would like to take this session in a way where it benefits the entrepreneurs here and share the information that I think they're looking for.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the startup world, of course, in Silicon Valley over the last 15 years, in Morocco about 5 years, going back and forth and building great things here with great people, great talent. Moroccan entrepreneurs are very lucky. Really, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think they're lucky because some kind of an ecosystem has been created around them. They got some leaders in Morocco, government and non-governmental institutions or people were very interested in supporting the effort. But I feel like over the last 3 years, not a lot of things have changed. We're kind of going around the wheel where some people learned how to pitch. You have access to internet. They spent 1 year to get access to how to pitch this, exactly what you're talking about. But a solid traction, great stories haven't panned out yet. So we'd like this session to be some kind of a catalyst, at least identify the right investments. You have an investor, we can hook you up with some other investors who can join you.
If you have people that want to give us money.
Absolutely. So let's do this. Can you tell me what is your ideal startup that you're ready to invest in this part of the world? Can you give me a profile?
The ideal startup?
Yeah.
So we're looking to invest in startups that can show proven signs of traction. So we're investing in numbers. We're not investing purely in the team or the concept or the idea. So come to me and tell me, hey, we've managed to, on our own, sorry about that. So we've managed to, on our own, figure out how to have a scalable customer acquisition model. Our unit economics are positive. So for every $1 that we spend on advertising and customer acquisition, we get $3 in revenues from that. We know how to scale. We know what we're doing. We've been generating revenues, $5,000, $10,000 a month, whatever it is. It's been growing over the past 2-3 months. Now we need money in order for us to scale up and grow. And so that's really what I'm looking for. So even if you've got $1,000 or $2,000 in revenues per month, I mean, in markets like Morocco, I think that's also quite good. But show me that there's been growth, and show me that you understand your customer acquisition methodology. Do tests on paid services, like do paid ads on Facebook, do SEO, do YouTube advertising or video advertising or whatever it is. Come to me and tell me, we know what we're going to do. We have profitable unit economics. We have been doing this for the past 3 months, and it's been growing well. And we just need more money in order to continue to grow. And I think that's what I need to see.
Great. Well, it just seems like you're interested in all the fields, but I don't think it's exactly true. Because I heard many times Dave McClure saying he doesn't like the advertising model. And if I could show you a business where through advertising, there is growth, there is strong traction, are you still going to look at it here in the region?
We'll look at everything.
Okay.
There is, as long as you have some tech-related thing in your business, we will look at it.
Excellent. And do you have anything to say about those who kind of fear sharing the ideas? Or they want to tell you to invest in them, but it's like, oh, I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you. Can you sign this? Can you sign that?
Yeah, ideas are worthless. So sorry, anyone who has a great idea and they think it's going to be the next Google, ideas are pretty worthless. It's execution that's much more important. So if you're worried about sharing your idea because that's the only thing that you have over any other competitors, you probably should not be starting a startup.
I agree. I know because I had a lot of great ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I get 100 ideas before I get out of the house in the morning.
As a matter of fact, I tried applying to one of the batches, and I wasn't accepted.
Yeah, because ideas are not worth
They didn't see any value in the entrepreneur.
Like, really. Sorry.
Anyway, I know that you're an investor, but as a fund, you're also raising money for your for your fund. And I want to bring this up because I think from my interaction in Morocco, I don't know about the other countries, but I know in Egypt there is money too. I think there is plenty of money, but it's in the wrong hands, or people who have the right intentions don't have the experience in identifying right investments and evaluating those. Usually a VC in Silicon Valley, and those profiles are pretty, I would say, dominant, okay? A VC was an entrepreneur before. He failed several times, he had some successes, maybe not. He was a manager, director in some of successful companies. Then he went to a VC. He knew how to get a product from an ideation to shipment, raise money and stuff like that. He knows the challenges. Here, most of the investors are bankers or successful. It's good to have successful entrepreneurs, but not in the space. So the logic of investment is very, very different I guess we're going to talk about it later. But I think there is tremendous value in having Startup 500 in this region, helping with smart people in the finance market figure out how to add this asset class in a financial portfolio for private equity funds. So tell us a little bit about who do you accept in the deal, how do you work, what's the configuration?
So we're very happy to help build out the ecosystem around us. So one of the things that we know is that we are in a very nascent market, that there's not a lot of awareness of what to do as an angel investor. There's not a lot of people that have experience doing a VC fund and things like that. But one of the things that we actively are trying to do is educate and co-invest and teach people and help build out ecosystems. That's a core focus for 500 startups. So we have a course, VC Unlocked, that we do with Stanford University. It's actually, I think there's like 3 or 4 seats left. That's starting on the 8th of February. VC Unlocked.
VC Unlocked?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically an introduction to how to do investments as a venture capitalist.
Is there is a website for it right now?
Yeah, it's 500.vc, and all the information.
I'm doing a lot of advertising for you, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate all the advertising. See, this is what you need to do as startups. And so that actually course is there to help build out ecosystems and help transfer knowledge from one place to another. We're also working with several governments in the region, trying to help them figure out a way for them to help build out the ecosystems, especially on the investor side. Because I think on the startup side, there's a lot of activity happening. There's a lot of events like this, there's a lot of education, there's a lot of outreach. So you guys as startups are doing pretty well. The area that's missing in a lot of the Middle East is the investor side of the equation. In terms of presence, there are very few investors across the MENA region that are investing in startups and in tech and things like that. So I think that's something that if anyone's looking at ecosystem building efforts, that's the area and that's the side of the equation that needs to be built out more. It's not the startups that are an issue, it's the investors and the lack of investors and the lack of the understanding of the investors. That's a big issue that we face here in the region.
How do you see Startup 500 helping with that? There is a lack. So let's take a large private equity fund here in Morocco or in the GCC countries. There is $1 billion investment. 50% goes to real estate and goes out investment. Let's say if those funds could take 5% or 10% of their portfolio and choose the VC or tech investments as a new asset class, how would they work with you?
They could give us the money, so we could manage that on their behalf. That's a very easy one. But in addition to that, we would help them through giving them access to deal flow, we'd help them with education, we'd help them with hand-holding, so that eventually they'll be able to do it themselves. And that's more interesting to us.
Okay, so I'll act as an investor since you want my money. Tell me about your track record. What's kind of exits? Let's talk about overall, then talk about the region.
So actually, we've done pretty well.
Okay.
I don't know if I can actually legally
talk about
the numbers.
Public information, something that...
our stats aren't public information, but if you talk to me afterwards, backstage, I can tell you what's happening. What's
your largest exit for 500 stocks?
MakerBot was bought by Stratasys, $450 million. That was a pretty good exit for us because we invested very early. But for us, we don't really need billion-dollar exits. We've got 3 companies that are worth more than $1 billion in our portfolio, but we don't need those. Because we invest early, we'll invest at valuations of between $1 to $2 million. So if you get to a $20 million exit, we're happy we've done a 10x return.
Right.
And so that's something that we're looking for.
I have a couple of more questions before we can open it for the audience. One is, do you see that the legal environment in each country is an impediment to really fast growth? Because I live this. Let's talk about how, let's say you want to do a convertible note. People, whenever you talk to VC, say, oh, I invest this much. What's the percentage of ownership I get? I want control. I want this. I want that. They still don't get how the structures are done. I want to do convertible note. Is it possible to be done throughout the region? The other thing is, the other legal area in Morocco is where Morocco follows very much the French system, so which is, we follow only the weaknesses in the French system, not the strength. And one of them is, the labor laws. You have a startup. If you fire somebody for lack of productivity, you're forced to kind of shell out all your investments. So you pay that guy. And there is a lack of trust. And I lived it. People, when you share a great idea with your new team members, they think you're high. It's a pipe dream. And then for them, they're focused on that salary. They don't care what the heck happens later. They don't believe in stock options. They don't believe in anything because there is a lack of trust. And the legal environment makes it really hard for entrepreneurs to really take the risk and go build great teams. How do you handle that?
We don't care about the legal stuff.
At some point, you will.
Okay, so we as 500 don't mind investing in onshore entities, offshore entities, whatever structure that you want. We're not one of those people that will say, this is the only way that we'll invest. We are not people that will say, we only invest in Delaware Incorporated US entities. Although if you're Delaware Incorporated, we can probably do that investment in 24 hours, but if you're anywhere else, it'll take a couple of months. So I don't, it is a hassle. Legal stuff and red tape in the MENA region is an issue, and it is an obstacle. But as an entrepreneur, you should be figuring that stuff out. I mean, it should not stop you in any way, shape, or form. If that's the stuff that's stopping you, then what's going to happen to you when you're facing much bigger obstacles and much bigger concerns? So yeah, we've got an extra impediment here in the region, and it's across the region, not just here in Morocco. Red tape and bureaucracy is something that we all have to deal with, but that's a key thing. Deal with it.
Sounds good. I have one question because I think this is going to be repeated over the day, but I want to get your perspective. It was interesting to see other panels talking about, I have an entrepreneur here and he wants to go to Silicon Valley, and sometimes I wonder, do they have to be in Silicon Valley? What's your take in it? Do all entrepreneurs need to be in Silicon Valley to succeed? Or if yes or no, who should go and who should focus on something else?
No, you don't need to go to Silicon Valley. You can go if you want to, but it's freaking expensive. And it's not the best option for a lot of startups, especially from our region. So if startups from our region are going to go there and say, we have a huge market opportunity in North Africa and the Gulf, and they're just going to ignore you because they don't understand that market and they don't care. So going to Silicon Valley doesn't work for most of the startups that are focused on our region, the MENA region, as a market. And I think this market is one of the best markets to actually focus on because there's so little competition. If you're going into Silicon Valley and trying to do an e-commerce startup, forget about it. There's no way you're going to get any funding, any attention, any customers, or whatever you're going to do. You're fighting against much bigger opponents. But try an e-commerce startup here, it's pretty much a wide open market. And so, no, don't go to Silicon Valley. Stay here, build your startup locally, focus on the markets that are at your doorstep, and if you're executing well enough, then you should have no problem finding funding. We'll fund you. But on the other hand, if you're doing something like you have created a new nanomaterial that will be utilized in the construction of spaceships or whatever it is, yeah, you should probably go to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I think that sums it. Well, basically anything in internet infrastructure, high technology, hardware, something not, like you said, something that is geared to the North
anything that will
market.
not make money, go to Silicon Valley and raise money there.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make money, stay here.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I think we're ready to open it for Q&A. I can't see, by the way, so somebody can raise the hands. I cannot. Okay. Please, where the questions are, I can see those people. Okay, go ahead. Can you stand up, please, so we know where it's coming from?
First of all, I want to thank you for the tips that you just gave us. My question is, what are the main reasons that a startup should follow to just success in his own business? Because sometimes the main reasons behind this failure is the ignorance of these steps, starting from the idea to the end. Not the end, but to launch in a society or something like that. Thank you.
How do you succeed? Is that the question?
What are the main steps that a startup should follow from getting the idea to
Okay.
launching?
So I think if you've got an idea, like I said, ideas are pretty worthless. Your first step would be finding a team around that concept if you haven't got one already. So if you're really good at marketing and business or finance, find someone who's a CTO and can be part of your founding team. Doing a startup is one of the hardest things in the world. If you're doing it by yourself, you'll probably go crazy. Actually, you're probably crazy for starting it in the first place, but anyway. So find a founding team that is going to work well with you. Make sure you're all getting along pretty well and understand where you're going to go. After the founding team, come up with an MVP or a prototype or something that you can actually go out and get customers or users or something for to prove that there's a validity in that idea that you've got. Because the idea by itself, without some sort of social proof or customers or anything, isn't really worth anything. So come up with a very quick MVP, a lean sort of startup approach thing that you can just launch quickly, figure it out, and if people are willing to do it, then excellent. Then you go and build out the full product. And then, build out the full product, raise funding, if you're able to get the right KPIs and able to show that you don't need that money. And then profit.
I think there is a great ecosystem. I'll repeat it again. I think if you have those kind of initial basic questions, they can really, really be answered through those great organizations from StartUp Maroc to Seed to Endeavor. If you're thinking about those ideas, you ought to get started there and meet, commingle, attend those workshops, and that's where you get started. We want to go really have an advanced discussion. Go. Second question? Mr.
Yeah.
Can you please stand up?
Yeah. Excuse me. Hi. I have two questions on a very different level. I'm going to start with the first one. As you said in your former angel fund that you were running, you worked on ideas. So I'm supposing you were working on seed investment. What is 500 startups working on the local region to help the seed funding? I know you are now really oriented for people who already have traction, who already have some turnover, but how can you help the entrepreneur market here to have seed funding? Can you help bring in other organizations that do that? Can you help creating an ecosystem of investments even in the seeding level? And for the second thing, we have a really slow slope here in Morocco for the turnover. So it's kind of hard getting customers, getting that first turnover. Can you give us any advice about your experience here at the MENA region for how to kind of get that thing starting? Because it's kind of hard and it's kind of slow here in the MENA region. Thank you.
Sure. So first question is, we're seed stage investors, we're not idea stage investors. So that's the thing. We'll invest quite early on, but you have to prove to us that you're past the idea. For idea stage investments, really it's friends, family, and the third F is fools. Those are the people that will invest in you at the beginning. So find one of those, friends, family, or fools, or angel investors, or there's a lot of startup organizations here in Morocco that I've seen that might be able to give you enough money, but most startups don't need a huge amount of capital to get started. You can build a product by yourself with very little money right now. So if that's an excuse for you to get started, then that's not the major issue. You have bigger issues there. The other thing that you're asking about is how to get your first customers. There's loads of ways. It depends what you're doing. If you're a consumer-faced startup, try spending on Facebook ads. Try doing SEO. Try releasing some sort of video content or blogging or whatever it is. Try and find a way to get those first customers. There's a lot of ways. If you're an online business, you should figure it out online, and it should be something that should be able to scale.
The other thing is, I think it's the wrong question to ask an investor. Because if the investor hears this, he goes, this guy didn't even figure out, then he has no business model.
Yeah.
He will be nice to say, it's out of my business scope, but definitely those are the kind of two things you have to figure out on your own before even meeting with somebody who...
You should. If you don't have a product and you don't have customers, don't go talk to investors.
Yeah, actually, I built a product. I got my first customers, and I pitched, and I couldn't raise money. And I said, I can't build this business if I couldn't convince these investors. And I decided to fold, because at some point, you have to decide how much risk you're willing to take. For me to move forward, I had to pay about $200,000 of insurance. Was I willing to do it? No, I wasn't. I was like, let's fold. The whole system doesn't work. But if you can't convince an investor, if you can't convince a customer, then you don't have a business.
Yeah, if you can't convince a customer, you definitely don't have a business.
Who are they?
Hello, my name is Hamza. I want to thank you for the information you've shared. You guys said that the main field that you guys invest in is the tech side of the economy. So I was wondering, is there any other fields that you guys are interested in investing in? For example, like the music industry or any other fields that are not tech oriented?
So everything is tech-oriented now in this world. There is nothing that doesn't have some form of tech in it. So we've actually invested in 2 startups in the Middle East in the music-related industry. One is Zazif, which is online courses to teach you how to play traditional Arabic instruments like the oud and things like that, based out of Jordan. And the other one is Fisha, which is an online e-commerce site for musical instruments. So every sector now has some relation to technology. And so, even a restaurant that has figured out a way to deliver food to people using a very efficient methodology online and using technology in that is a startup that we would look at. So,
and I would like to make it kind of get as many questions as possible. So 2 things. Don't thank anybody for this. Just go for your question. And if you have a suggestion, stay seated. We just want questions. Go for it. Go for it. Here's a mic.
Okay. Do you take equity?
of course, that's what investors do.
Or is it a loan?
No. Then I'm not an investor, then I'm a bank.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm an investor, I will take equity in your business. I might do convertible note that'll eventually convert into equity, but I want the equity. I don't want a loan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's be efficient. Okay, the lady there. Can you give him a mic?
Yeah. I already have it.
Good.
Hello, everyone. So, Mr. Hassan, my question is to you and your company. You said in your speech that normally you worship the most motivated people and not the ideas, which means that people who are motivated to do what they want to do are most important. But at some point you said that you don't actually help people who have the ideas and who are motivated already, but do not have the right conditions or do not have the enough funds in order to start what they want to do. So what actually stops you from helping those people? Because as you know, we here live in a third world company. So not everyone has enough money to start their own business. Thank you.
Thanks. We're not really in the business of helping people. We're in the business of making money as a venture capitalist. All those stuff that we do here is to build out an ecosystem and to invest and support the region. And I believe in the region. We're not a charity. So if you, our whole philosophy is show us that you've got something that we can invest in that we will eventually make money on, and that's what we're going to invest in. So yes, that'll help a lot of you guys, but it's not our primary
I think the
objective.
bottom line is the threshold of building a startup is really high. Usually, first of all, success in business, success in a startup is not common business, is an outlier. So we're talking about the large exits. The investor, like Hassan, will expect a 10% success in in an investment. So he wants 1 over 10 investments to succeed. That's going to be enough to make a return. So if somebody wants to start a business as an alternative to employment, that's one thing. But investors are looking for really unique people. And those people are really outliers themselves. The way they live, the way they make sacrifices, people who are willing to put everything at risk. Even the parents' argument that why are you doing this? Go get a job. We pay for your school. So this is, parents are also an impediment to this. So you have to be really unique. You have to be uniquely persistent to make something happen. And it's not just the idea. It's not. So if you need help, go find it in that ecosystem that exists already, and it will be you will be filtered out or filtered in depending on your capabilities. We have a question right here.
Hi guys, thanks for being here and giving us this opportunity. And the question I have is that there's a lot of accelerators, incubators within the Middle East, North Africa region, but the ones that are actually contribute more are a lot further than Morocco. Here in Morocco, most accelerators that we have in incubators, they actually only provide space, literally. There isn't actually much going on. So my question to 500 Startup, which is actually a big fan of compared to other big, like Y Combinator, for allowing us and giving us the opportunity to be able to shine to the rest of the world, is how active are you willing to be in Morocco?
I'm actually looking to hire someone here. It's just too far for me to fly. No, we're going to be very active. I think we're going to look at making our first investments here in Morocco this year. How many we make depends on how many of you can actually get off your asses and get those ideas to real traction, and so that we can invest in you. Don't ask us for help, ask us for an investment. And so, yeah, it depends on what we see, and I'm actually actively looking for startups to invest in. We're probably going to look at finding someone to help us here on the ground as well. So we are committed to the North African ecosystem, just as we are to the rest of the region.
So you're promising us that we will have equal opportunity with all the countries that you're active in?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think that sums it up. I'm really sorry we're going to have to leave it at here. You got the message. There is money. Just be unique. Do your homework. Please, make us look good Moroccans. Don't go to those guys and, go get ready for... You only have one shot with investors.
Not with us. We're okay.
Okay. Well, come on. We're going to try to set the right process.
Just, don't screw up too much. So don't pitch me in the bathroom like that. That's not good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Hassan. Another round of applause, please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Akram.